Previously, she was the Chief Operating Officer of Jewish Federation of Greater Pittsburgh. And he is transformative coach, but a director of a nonprofit organization called Beyond Recovery Organization, which helps people in prison in the UK. And he has been prisoner himself. These two are going to tell you how the listening really changed their life and how they continue changing the people's lives in such an environment like prison is. Ladies and gentlemen, Deborah from the US and Derrick Mason from the UK.
Everybody. Hi, Derrick.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. A bit nervous, but
Yeah.
it's all good.
So, Derrick and I, we work together on a committee, and we spend a lot of time together. We've known each other about 3 years.
Yeah.
We've never. This is the first time we met in person, which is really cool. Yeah. And I guess I kind of asked for us to do this together because Derrick's an amazing listener, and it's such a gift to be able to work with him all the time because we really work together really well and we listen to each other really well. And so we didn't prepare anything for today because we wanted to come out and really show you how we listen and how we listen to ourselves and then how that creates. I was reflecting when Michael was talking earlier this morning about how when people get together and they start to listen, how the connection happens, and I really feel that with the time I spend with you.
It's the same for me as well, Deborah, like not really knowing you before we got into the committee, just through the board, and then spending time with you. Yeah, I see you're a good listener as well, you're very insightful, and just through that listening and insightfulness, it inspires. And it moves on and creates a better environment to listen. And not only listen to other people, but listen to ourselves and see where that listening is coming from. And yeah, this is a listening conference, and yeah, a lot of time I've been through a certain crisis or certain chaos in my life and listened to the same soundtrack that I always listen to. And it leaves the same feeling. But when you listen deeper to something new, that's what this understanding is about for me, is looking for something new in situations where I've always seen the same, and looking that a little bit deeper and listening that a little bit deeper for something that resonates and leaves that feeling. So yeah, I'm happy to be here talking about listening and what it's done for me and how it's changed me, and even in the moment, just seeing what we listen to can change and be brand new. So yeah, I'm honoured to be here on the stage with you, Deborah.
Cool.
And is there anything that you've seen around listening or anything you want to share about that?
Well, I could, but I'll spill the beans because Derrick told me before we came out here that he's had an insight recently. So I'm going to pass the ball back to you because I really want to hear what it is.
Oh, okay, didn't see that coming. I'm sure we didn't speak about that outside, but anyway. Yeah, I'll run with the ball. Yeah, I've had a big insight lately, and it's sort of to do with the same sort of listening, because all our insights we have to listen. Because when we get them insights, sometimes we listen to them, sometimes we don't. And yeah, I had a big insight around seeing beneath the surface, or seeing how I always look on the surface and judge. And even my own surface, I look through and see my surface and judge that surface. But when we talk about looking a bit deeper and looking beneath the surface, and I think when I'm talking about beneath the surface of myself, I'm not talking about into the skin and the veins. I'm talking about into a bit deeper than that. And when Sid says that the formless and the form are together, that's what we're talking about, looking into myself, into the form, and finding a formless part of myself. And that formless part of myself hasn't got no judgment, and it doesn't understand anger, it doesn't understand pain. Linda was saying before, it's just a version of pure love that is within me underneath the surface. And that can't change. That never changed. Like Linda was talking about as well with the babies, I've had that in me since I was little. And I've grown up and I've started to judge myself from the surface. But what's underneath that formless part of me, when I look to that and listen from there, then I always end up in the right place and with the right feeling. And the surface would always change, but what's underneath would always stay the same. That constant love. And when I start to look at myself and I can see that formless part of myself, then I can start to see everything else through that formless energy as well. I know that we are all the same and we are all connected, and looking beneath the surface, just that little beneath the surface, is what really counts and what matters, and it's what fosters connection. Because when I look beneath my surface, that formless part of myself I know is in everything else. And that just makes the connection before I've even had to think about anything or do anything. I just know I'm connected, and the only thing ever separating me from that was my thinking. And the more thinking I produce and the more made up thinking I do, the more I feel separated from that space. But I know that space is in me, that formless space is in me, that I can tune into all the time. That wisdom, that's what fosters my wisdom. That's what fosters my well-being. That's what fosters my love.
You know, it's interesting listening to you, because the word that keeps coming into my consciousness is isness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like before the judgment is the isness. Yeah. I've been thinking a lot lately about, in a similar way, like how present can I be? I have so much going on up here, and it's so many times during the day when I realize it, like, oh my God, there I am again, there I go again. And when I notice, then I have an opportunity to come back and say, like, oh yeah, I don't need to be here. I can be in that formless space. I can be in that space that's just being. I can be in that space before judgment. I can let it all come in and just be, and be quiet. I don't need to live in that busyness. And yet there I go again, right? Like the minute I realize it and I settle down and I come back, and then I'm back in it again.
Yeah, I think that's so key as well, because that relates to me, because even over the past few weeks I've gone through a little bit of a rough patch where I've even found myself homeless and in certain situations, and to know that situation isn't going to end like right now, there's not going to end tomorrow, but I can find a space from within that to feel calm, even through the situation. And it's like when we say, when you go beneath the surface, you go beneath the surface in the traditional sense, we find more of the same. So if you're in water, you go below, it's more water. We're talking about going beneath the surface to find something new in a situation where, so let's say the waves are choppy, but how can we look beneath the surface of the waves and stay in the waves, but yet we're beneath the surface of the waves, and find that calm, that peace, that place before all judgment, everything.
And isn't it so cool when something new shows up? It's like, I'm always surprised but not surprised. Right? Like, oh my God, there it is. Oh my God, something new.
And I think I think that's the thing, that no matter how long you have this understanding, you can always look for something new. And I might have had a feeling where I saw something new, and then it left me with such a great feeling that the next time I try to use that same thing to furnish that feeling, but it just doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work.
You have to look for that thing new. And even to say, the thing that I saw new in my situation was, because of my situation, I had to move out of the area I was in. I had a few friends around there, and somebody was in a situation, and I made an offer to help her out. And I know that if I wasn't in that situation, I would have been on the phone. She could have told me about the situation. I would have said, oh, eventually I might come and do that for you. But I know that I wouldn't have probably got to do it. But because I'm in the area, and I said I can do it for her, the look on her face, it just meant so much to her. It was nothing for me to do to decorate her house, because that's what she wanted doing. But when I said I would do it for her, just the look on her face, on what it meant to her and her children to have her house decorated, I saw something new there, that my situation had created that space for me to do that for her, and for her to have that feeling in that moment. And in that moment I saw something. I said I would go back to the point of what led to the situation, and I would do exactly the same thing, just for that feeling, just for that moment. And after that moment's finished, it's all back being rubbish again. But I would still do all of that just for that feeling and looking for something new, where previously I thought that would not be possible. And again, it's about listening and seeing what furnishes our well-being, what furnishes that feeling in the moment. And that can change so often.
Yeah. And you know, I love that you're pointing to that feeling, because, you know, there's the rightness feeling. There's the, oh yeah, something occurs to me, and that's what I'm going to go do, and now I'm doing it, and it feels right, and I'm in the flow. Yeah. And then if we fight it, we feel that too.
Yeah.
Right? Oh yeah, there's something off here. Something off. Time to get quiet again and see what shows up.
And it's sometimes it's frightening, it's confusing, living in that space of the unknown, where we don't know what's around the corner. But in effect, we never do really know what's around the corner. No matter how much we plan and work out, you never know what's going to happen in the next moment. And having a bit of faith in that, because that next unknown moment is formed from the same formless space. What is it? What I'm made of, what I'm a part of. And everything in this whole world, everything we see and interact with, is all a part of that same system.
Isn't it so cool that we can create from that?
I think it's beautiful, that word create as well. Sometimes we think we have to create things, but sometimes we just can be.
Yeah.
Because what we're creating is within us already.
Yeah.
And we just have to tune into it and align with it.
I love the fact that sometimes it's so mundane. Like sometimes it's just, oh, it's time to do the laundry now, right? Or time to do the dishes now, right? And that's an inspiration. That's putting one step in front of the other.
And not knowing what's going to come out of it. And having that, before I thought I had to put my hands and control things, and that was the way to do it. But the more you let go and drop into that formless space that will hold us every single time. And just having an understanding and a trust in that.
I used to think that stress was helpful.
Yeah.
I used to think that stress was motivating. Then I realized that it clouds the listening.
And I think I was saying, sharing to you before, that when I was growing up, when I was little, when I was my teenager, I didn't understand what stress was. I thought, I don't suffer from stress, because that's something of somebody else. Other people haven't. Only when I got older and I got into situations and I felt a tightness in my chest and my palms started to sweat, and I said, oh, that's what they call stress. Oh, so I do suffer from stress. Oh, I'm a stressful person, oh my God. I created that and brought it into my orbit. But if I didn't put a label on it, then I don't suffer from stress. And even like I was talking to you before about being nervous coming out on stage, and that's just a label I've sort of put on it. It's just a feeling that overcomes me when I'm about to give a talk or do a group. But it doesn't have to be nerves. It could just be that feeling, that preparation feeling for me being prepared to go into that unknown.
Yeah.
Because I think this is when I really delve into the unknown, is when I come into talks like this and don't know what I'm going to say, and just trusting that feeling. And it's always worked out, because the feeling is coursing through me right now. And that's what I thrive on. And that's what keeps me healthy.
And I mean, like me too, right? You asked me if I was nervous. I was like, well, I don't know, I have a feeling. And then now, like, I feel so settled. Isn't that amazing? How we go from a feeling of something we put a label on, we call it nervous, or we call it stress, or we call it anxiety, and then we just settle down.
And that's how easy when we're aware of our thinking and aware of what we're listening to. Because there's no one outside of me telling me that it's nerves. There's no one outside of me telling me I'm anxious. It's what I'm labeling it, and then those feelings are running down the road that I've labeled it. And if it's a good label, then I'll run down the road of it being a good feeling. And if it's a bad label, I'll run. But then they can interchange. They can always change. But like I said, the bit that stays the same, the bit that never changes, is that love. Because what label we put on it, love is there always.
I love listening to you talk about love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause again, that's something that listening to what I used to listen to growing up, love was a word that never really featured in my vocabulary. And I had to be mean with it or tight with it because it was limited and I'd only been given a little bit of it. It's like what Linda said, being loving, lovable, and loved. None of those things were on the equation for me.
Can you tell me a little bit more about, I know we're getting, we still have a few minutes.
All right.
I would really like to hear a little bit more about that word love for you. Like, if you couldn't use the word love to describe love, how would you describe it?
Oh, this went in the script, Deborah.
It's okay if you.
I think I'll draw back to a bit of what Linda said. It's life. Life is love, and no matter how we experience it, it's still love. No matter how we feel about it, it's still love. And when we can appreciate and understand that, then life. Because I had this thing what I saw not too long ago that I love life. And it wasn't the fact that I love my life, I love life. Because the more I see and the more I listen and get an understanding, the more I can see how much I'm tuned into life and how much I'm a part of life and how much I'm a relevant part of life. And wherever I show up, life don't really come at me. All my life I thought life was just coming at me. But now I realise I am life. And I'm just blending in a dance with life. And it's like intrinsically connected through love.
You know what I call that? I mean, I like the word love. For some reason, for me, it's like magic. It's just the magic of the gift that we were given to experience all this. Yeah.
I love that word as well, magic. Magic and miracles. And we think it's this unobtainable thing that happens that magicians do and pull things out of their hat. But every second of every day, we are magical miracles in action. And even when we get caught up in our heads and we get busy mind, that's still miraculous.
Yeah.
How we can get out of it and then get into it. That is just magic, pure magic. So we are all pure magic. I like that word.
Pure magic and pure love.
That's a nice combination.
Maybe we should end on that.
I think that'd be a good point to end it.
Okay. Okay.